Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm really feeling blue today. That's why I got the eyeshadow on. Let me show y'all. Let me zoom in for y'all a little bit, okay? Every time I wear blue, I be like feeling like a diva. Like I love it. That's why I add like the shimmer in the corner. I just love this eyeshadow so much. And by the way, this is the blue from the Juvia's Culture 2 palette. I really need to get the Culture 1 palette, but I just love it so much, y'all. I'll be so happy when I get to wear this eyeshadow. So what we're talking about today is more crime. Crime never ends, unfortunately. And you know what? The crimes only keep getting worse. And this is also about dealing with a child and family. And it's sad because you'd be like, the what I'm about to tell y'all and what we're going to react to, because we're reacting to this online crime, okay? So this is a crime committed by a mother on her daughter. She performed a so-called exorcism on her daughter along with her brother and her father. The three adults did that to the child. And also the week of her death, she had the audacity, the mother who did this to her daughter, to remember her own line. Like I'm pretty sure it's probably Facebook or something. You know, most people, give their condolences to their kids who passed away and to other people on Facebook. And like I'm talking about, had the audacity to do that after she performed this. I'm so curious of like, how do you even perform an exorcism? I got a feeling some other dark stuff is involved, so let's just get into it.
Prosecutors in California are trying to keep a woman locked up after they say she tortured and killed her 3-year-old daughter during an alleged exorcism. We're digging into this very bizarre and brutal case as the state seeks to keep Claudia Hernandez and 2 members of her family away from the public. Plus, what the defendant herself had to say about the toddler after her gruesome death. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. Cute. I'm Jesse Weber. Let me lay out this story as alleged by prosecutors in California. In 2021, Claudia Hernandez was at a makeshift church in the back of a home in San Jose, California with her daughter, 3-year-old Arely Naomi Proctor. According to court documents, Hernandez believed that Arely was possessed by a demon that needed to be cast out through an exorcism. No, this is not the Daybell case. This is unfortunately another one that we're covering.
By the way, I will be talking about that case soon too. I keep seeing that this is so much on that case, and I got to start from the beginning before I even get into that one, because it's a lot of stuff. They're still in trial, I believe, too. And y'all, I feel like this camera is going low. It is.
Because Hernandez's father, Rene Hernandez, was the pastor of that church. And Hernandez and her brother, who's also named Rene Hernandez, allegedly took Arely to the church on September 24th, 2021. According to court documents, the 3 family members held Arely down for approximately 20 hours, torturing her by grabbing her neck, torso, back, legs, smothering her, holding her in positions, repeatedly trying to force her to throw up, all of this allegedly to expel the demon. And sadly, as a result of all of this, prosecutors say Arely died, succumbed to her injuries. A coroner's report determined that Arely died from asphyxiation and had blood in her lungs, that she had brain swelling, that she had injuries on her neck and inside of her mouth. I mean, it doesn't get any more horrific than this. But here's the thing. The prosecutor has said that Hernandez has shown zero remorse because she still believes she did nothing wrong. Now that, of course, begs the question, from a legal point of view, could the insanity on the table? Now, we have talked before about how rare it is for that to work. Obviously, because if it were readily available and accessible, defendants would constantly use it as a way to get out of prison time.
They do too.
But here in California, we're talking about whether a defendant can show by a preponderance of the evidence, more likely than not, it's a lower standard.
I think they should start charging people with idiocy. Is that a word? Idiocity? Just people being idiots, okay? And also just disgustiveness. We need to start using those words in courts and put those in down to, like, I wouldn't say these people are mental, okay? I think they're just slow. I'm not a religious person. I don't know what they believed in. Then if I heard that right, the dad was a pastor. I don't know what he had them believe in and what sick stuff they was talking about. And exorcisms You know, you see that stuff on TV and movies. I personally I believe in this stuff because I don't know. You know, I watched The Conjuring. You know, they showed the real stuff. I'm not a believer. Okay, I'm just not a religious believer. It's weird to say that. I'm not a religious person. I don't believe too much in religion, okay, to a point. But I do believe in like the demon stuff, okay? But there are people who over believe, like I'm saying, like in this case, and they use it as a way to do. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. It's a weird case when you talk about exorcism because I'm like, ain't wasn't nobody possessed. Okay, like what? I don't understand it, and I think that's the moral of the story. I just don't understand it. I don't understand like they just need to be charged and like go away. So I really hope their prosecutors, most likely they're gonna say that to avoid so much jail time. But I'm like, they tortured that little girl. So yeah, no, that's out the window. These people are not mental. They're freaking idiots. And I'm just, you know, y'all, I had to look up on some exorcism stuff because I'm like, what the heck is it?
Whether he or she, at the time of the offense, was incapable of knowing or understanding the nature and quality of what they did, and of distinguishing between right and wrong. Again, a very high bar, but is that possibly on the table here? Is that what we're talking about? I'm going to explain why. January 2022, just days before she was arrested, Hernandez seemingly posted a video online about her daughter. During the 45-minute video, Hernandez seems to recount memories of Areli from the time she was conceived until her death. At times, she appears to be holding back tears, but then there are other times where it almost seems like she makes light of what happened.
It's so hard now, you know, because going from having her every day to not having her at all, you know, it's so hard. It's hard, you know, and to think that I'm not gonna see her grow up, you know, like how I thought that I was gonna see her grow up, you know, like. But you know, it's okay. It's okay. Because I know she's in a better place, you know, and God knows why He allows these things, you know. And I know everybody wants to know what happened to her, like the cause of her death. And I will talk to you guys about it. You know, I will, but when I'm ready. I could sit here and be negative about the thing, like, oh, like I wish I could go back and this and that. But it's like, there is no point of me doing that, you know, because I cannot change what is, you know, it is what it is. I've learned to think positive, you know, because it's many reasons why God took her.
Okay, if what prosecutors are alleging is true.
Let me just hurry up and say this, okay? Yeah, no remorse. But that's how you know. I feel like the dad put something in their head. That's the only thing I could think of because he was like, you know, they're whatever they believe in. I don't care what they believe in. But I feel like he put something in their head to make them think that way. And she think the girl was really evil and had a demon, and now she's in the better place because she's gone. That's crazy that people can actually think like that. That's actually shocking. And she ain't go.
Incredibly disturbing reaction to the death of your own 3-year-old child. 26-year-old Hernandez, her 20-year-old brother, and her 60-year-old father were each charged with one felony count of assault on a child younger than 8 causing death. The court ruled all 3 will be held without bail until their trial, and if convicted, they each face 25 years to life in prison. Now, as an aside, we couldn't confirm why the trio were not charged with murder, where you're talking about potentially life in prison. Perhaps at this point in time, prosecutors don't believe that the case rises to the level of an intentional or premeditated killing. Maybe that's what's going on here. But again, very serious charge with very serious consequences. Okay, so now let's dig into some of these court documents, because as I said, the state was making sure that these 3 would not be released into the public, right? And so the state, and they clearly won, they're going to be locked up, as I said, until trial, but the state's holding order memorandum is what we want to get into, and it explains what the state believes happened based on testimony given at a preliminary hearing. And it really goes into detail, and I warn you, it is incredibly tough to hear, but important to hear nonetheless.
Let's get
It states,
to it.
quote, during this assault, Aurelie Doe fought for her life as 3 trusted adults forcibly grabbed her by her neck, torso, back, and legs, smothered her by repeatedly attempting to pry open her mouth to make her vomit, and held her with so much force that she had internal bleeding and injuries. The evidence shows that while this assault was ongoing, Aurelie struggled to escape from her abusers. She clamped her mouth in resistance to the adults who were trying to pry it open. During the assault, the victim repeatedly said no as she was fighting for her life at the hands of her mother, grandfather, and uncle. She told her mother, "I love you." When pressure was applied to her neck and torso, she was repeatedly rendered unconscious for moments at a time. This ongoing assault resulted in the tragic death of Aurelie. My gosh, fighting back like this, how incredibly brave was she? Now, first responders found Aurelie's body on the floor of that makeshift church. So why did Hernandez believe that her daughter was possessed and needed a so-called prayer ceremony? Well, the officer who was on scene that night, the night that Aurelie died, spoke with Hernandez. Quote, she explained that the previous night Aurelie was screaming and crying. Claudia said she knew it was not her baby because Aurelie was always happy. Claudia then continued to describe to Officer Reyes how Aurelie looked different the night before, saying her eyes were different. She described Aurelie calming down when she comforted her. She said she put her to bed around 11 p.m. She then went to sleep at 12 a.m. Claudia's brother was sleeping in the bed with them, and Aurelie Doe was in the middle. The filing recounts that several times over the course of the next day, either Hernandez or her brother would decide that Aurelie needed to throw up, and they tried to force her to do that, but the little girl allegedly bit both of them when they tried to force her mouth open. She also describes that the 3-year-old was being strong. She then explained that she has seen movies that show objects can get possessed. She told her brother they had to remove everything from the room. They moved all the furniture from the room except for the bed. The next morning, Hernandez and her brother took Aurelie to the church at the back of the private residence. Quote, Claudia was asked if a priest was there with her, and she said no. Claudia described the church as her dad's church and said he was a preacher there. And the statement details about how all 3 people, again, held Aurelie in an...
So you tell me, these 2 idiots, brother and sister, a baby's crying, she's biting y'all because y'all got hands all in her mouth. Not even gonna talk about the bed situation. I don't know why he's sleeping with her, but different. I think people in the comments or something like that. But it's normal in the Hispanic culture. I think I've seen stuff with people like when you. It's normal in a lot of different things. Okay, not over here. A lot of African cultures, maybe if they're like poor or if they're just used to sleeping like that, her whole family be in the bed. So I'm not even thinking about that, even though I still think it's weird. We got normal behavior from a child who's crying just because you think the baby's not going to be always happy. It's nighttime. She's probably tired, hungry, something. I don't know. You don't know what you got to figure out what's wrong with the baby. And they believe this girl is possessed because you see movies and stuff like that. You think you hear it all, y'all. Seriously, some really the stupid people. Yes, I'm using the big word stupid. I'm like, of course she gonna bite y'all. Y'all got hands all on her and trying to hold her down. What? Like, y'all, I'm already annoyed. It's too early to be this annoyed.
Effort to force her to vomit. Disgusting.
Dog.
And around 6 p.m., Aurelie was cold to the touch. Claudia said she thought maybe she was dead, but she never seen a dead body. So what did they do? They continued to pray. This is what the allegation is. She moved her onto the floor and then kept praying. Claudia called her mom, sister, best friend, husband, and boss before she called 911. That's a lot of people to call before you allegedly call law enforcement.
Yeah.
Another officer took Claudia to what's called the Witness Center and was comforting her. As part of the filing reads, quote, Claudia said Aurelie changed at night. The first noticeable change was when Aurelie was demanding her shirt and went to the closet and threw all of her shirts out. Claudia said Aurelie's scream was so hard she thought it was not her. While Aurelie was in the shower, Claudia described that her eyes looked different. Claudia told Aurelie she loved her, and Aurelie did not say anything back. Aurelie then fell asleep very fast. Claudia said she never does that. Hernandez said later in the statement that Aurelie always slept on her side, but that night she slept on her back. It's fascinating to hear her trying to find these little points of difference.
Seriously.
That officer's part of the filing continues. At 5 p.m., Claudia said They had to pray for Aurelie again. This time when they prayed, Aurelie threw up a liquid that was a purplish color. After Aurelie actually spit it out, they laid her down and continued praying. She then checked on her about 6 p.m. and Aurelie was cold. Her lips were blue and purple and her hands were cold. This was the last time Claudia believed Aurelie to be alive. Claudia said that she told Rene Jr. to continue to pray. I actually can't tell what's more disturbing, the alleged abuse or the fact that it seems based on this account, this mother kept distorting certain observations as signs that her daughter was possessed, reinforcing that theory of possession.
Yeah, they've really seen too many movies. That's what this is. And it's crazy that they're really believing themselves. Like, what? This is a child. Children do so many things at night. Just because she don't sleep on her side doesn't mean she's possessed. Just because she don't say I love you back doesn't mean she's possessed. Maybe she's tired after y'all was heckling her all freaking day. Like, what? That's so crazy. They really made themselves believe this, y'all. And actually, I don't think the dad, he was in it, but I think it was the dad or the daughter and mainly the son first, right? I believe them two was the first to call this like an exorcism. And it's so weird that you think you have to immediately take them to a church. Take her to a church. So, seen one too many movies.
But again,
let me let this play.
The legal question becomes, did she really honestly believe this?
Now, it might just be slow.
Here is something interesting. The document says that Hernandez had not told Aurelie's father that she believed the girl was possessed and didn't tell him they were going to the church. Something also interesting that came up during these interviews with Hernandez is that she doesn't seem to have been particularly involved in this church. According to these court documents, she hadn't been to a church service since 2016, but had recently started going there to pray. Quote, Claudia said she does not necessarily believe in possession because of the church she goes to, but because of other things she has experienced in her life where at the school, like places that I've been that I know that are it's just things that I know that are possessed or people, She said she always believed in it since she was a kid. She described it as being like a medium. When asked if she thinks she caused her daughter's death, Claudia replied, in a way. Claudia admitted that although she thought Aurelie was possessed, she had no idea if the method they were using would lead the demon to be expelled. At one point, Hernandez was left alone in an interview room with her brother, known in the filing as Rene Jr. Now, of course, as we know, everything is recorded in these rooms. Everything is recorded on jailhouse phone calls, too. It always surprises me that people don't realize that, or maybe they do. But investigators are listening in. Whether they're in that room or not, they're listening in. So, quote, Claudia told Rene Jr. that while she was in the other room, the other interview room, God came to her and told her that God had taken Aurelie on Thursday, and it was because of demons. Claudia told Rene Jr. that God gave her the solution and everything was going to be okay. Claudia also said that God told her they were not going to be guilty.
Well, you are, sis. And it's crazy that people bring God into everything, okay? Yes, we're getting religious right now. I'm not a religious person whatsoever. I let people believe what they believe in, okay? That's what beliefs are for. It's not for, me to say, oh, you that's not right. God isn't real just because I don't think that. That's not true. And it's not saying that I don't believe in God. I believe there's spirits or some out there, okay? That's just it. But I have my own beliefs, and I will respect people if they let me have those. So it's not my point to say that, that you can't believe in what you believe in. But the fact that people use that to justify something is so crazy to me. I don't believe that. I don't believe it. No, I don't believe that. And I don't know what they believe in and what they was going through, but I'm like, no, you can't believe that. Everybody's actions are done by themselves. And you know what? Now you say you weren't found guilty, girl, you're guilty. And now you're going to jail. Soon she's going to be meeting her maker too. So
after Aurelie's death, Hernandez reached out to a detective on the case for a meeting. And during that meeting, she explained that she had begun praying daily to God and that he was appearing to her in visions. She said God had told her the day that Aurelie would die. Lieutenant Vallejo confronted Claudia with the fact that they said they were holding Aurelie's head and it would go down and her body would go limp. Claudia confirmed that when Aurelie's body would go limp, it was when Claudia was holding her neck. They asked Claudia how many times Areli passed out while they were holding her, and she responded, maybe like 3 or 4. During one of the interviews with Renee Jr., he told the detective that he believed he was given the gift of tongues and the gift of healing, all from God. Quote, he described what they did to Areli as an exorcism. He said he had previously done 2, but he had never done an exorcism on a child. Renee Sr. was also interviewed in the weeks and months after Areli's death. He openly admitted to being in the room during the prayer ceremony, but said it was not an exorcism. So kind of seeing a little bit of a difference here between these co-defendants. Quote, when he arrived, they told him that Areli had an evil spirit. Claudia told him that the girl was going to die. He said Claudia had already bought everything because she knew God was going to take her. He described a dress that Claudia had bought for Areli for her funeral. When asked how he could know this to be true and why Areli was only going to live to be 3, Renee Sr. shrugged his shoulders. Renee Sr. said he believed everything Claudia was saying to him. Claudia said that Areli would scream and was not a normal girl. So again, I asked the question, if that's true, is it not surprising they weren't charged with premeditated murder here? If you know when she's going to die, it's something to ask. But again, very serious charges they're facing nonetheless. It's just, I'm not sure I quite understand. Maybe we'll get more insight into this as this case progresses. But unbelievably tragic and disturbing details. And I mean, I think people know this by now when I cover these cases. It's the ones that deal with children that, those are the ones that really get to me. And, you know, thinking about what she went through in those final moments, you know, you hear how brave she was, but how absolutely frightening and scary that was for her. That's the that's the part that always gets me. These 3 family members, though, they're going to remain behind bars pending trial, and a trial setting date is scheduled for August.
They really did just torture that girl and tried to call it an exorcism because they believe that God was telling them to go bring her up there because there's a demon inside of her. There ain't no way anybody believes this. And if y'all do that, I mean, that's just y'all religion. I don't know nothing about all that, okay? But it's crazy that there you had all of them believe in this. And the fact that they have no remorse says that tells you that they believe it. I don't necessarily believe that these people are mental. I just think they're like some freaking crazy, weird believer people who need to like get back to reality. That's just what it is. That came out rude. I don't care. They killed that little girl, and it's crazy that the little girl was tortured, and that's so sad, by the hands of her mother. Y'all, not too much to say about this. I kind of said what I said in the video, and he basically said it too. You know, very, you know, I'm happy they don't have bail. All these crimes that we be covering, really, these people don't need bail. So let me know what y'all think in the comments below. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Road to 700. We got more crime to react to because these people are freaking crazy. Throw the key away. What? They gonna meet their maker real soon. And you know what? They really, and then let me say this one last thing. This was so premeditated. The fact that they already the mother bought her dress, said she wasn't gonna live past 3. If this ain't premeditated, y'all, I don't know what is. And it's weird that she's not like remorseful. She's just sad that she's gone, but it's like she knew she was going to be gone. I'm like, yeah, because you were planning this. So, y'all, I don't know. Is it mental? Is it not? Let me know in the comments. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.